run or episode the Jive Talk promises something for everyone. Set a course for adventure, your mind's on a new romance. Come on now, feel it deep inside. Let's jive. Okay, turn that off now. Thank you. What's going on? How you doing? Welcome, one and all. 102 episodes of Jive Talkin with Shane Diablo. Shane, what do you do here? What is this podcast? Is it informative? Is it fun? What is it? I don't know what it is. Just sit back and listen. If you want to get involved in the podcast, it's very simple and easy. You have to put your comments over on the YouTube video that comes out at 10 a.m. every single Saturday. Spoiler alert, I have been putting the episodes up live earlier on Spotify. So Friday morning, basically, essentially, the episodes are available on Spotify, but 10 a.m. on Saturdays. And this is it. We read the interesting, fun news stories of the week, just the week, because we do this every week. And if you're interested in doing the comments, well, you can just get over to that YouTube video and do that. So many things to hit here. We got stories for Miss Althea. She's got requests coming up on Ex-Japan. We're doing a story on Heath, Ex-Japan's bassist who passed away. We've got a bunch of stuff here, but first we got to get at it. You know this guy, they're going to get through this guy's catalog, Tom Werman. Producer extraordinaire. Word on the street is Dee Snider and the boys were not happy with Stay Hungry. They did not like the way it sounded. I thought it sounded perfectly freaking fine. In fact, that was the record. Well, no. The one right before that, what was it? You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. That's where I started to hear about him and go, oh, this is interesting. And then they just hit it, right? They just took over the world in 1984 or whatever with Stay Hungry. But let's get into this. We got the stories, we got the comments, we got the fun, we got the stuff. And I did want to tell you this really quick. You ever just wake up in the morning and you're instantly fucking agitated? Something from the time you were asleep until you wake up, something has pissed you off in your nightmares, your dreams, whatever. So last night I'm laying there and I'm in deep REM sleep, but you know, you can still kind of hear what's your surroundings. Well, I hear my cat throwing up. Just the most unnerving noise you've ever heard in your life. Am I right? That bleh, bleh. And they never just do it one shot like a dog. You know, a dog just throws it up and then eats it right up. Cats, they have to work the room. Throw up here, walk over a bit, throw up over there. Anyways, middle of the night, I hear the cat. And so in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, God, first thing I have to do when the alarm clock goes off is clean up cat vomit. Well, the cat threw up on my pillow, and the pillow was floating around the bed or doing whatever it does, you know, but I had grabbed the pillow and was embracing it like a teddy bear when I woke up, and there was cat throw up all over it. So my day just got right off it was right in the shits, to be quite frank with you. But let's get into this story here. Former Twisted Sister producer Tom Werman has no idea why Dee Snider trash-talked him so much. Dee, why do you got to do that? He's got the lips for it. He's got the mouth and teeth and lips for it. This guy could take a bite out of your thigh that you could not recover from. It would hit the aorta. This guy has choppers. So when this guy trash-talks you, I mean, it gets everywhere, right? Let's see what he has to say. Maybe they'll put his catalog of bands and shit that he's done. Veteran hard rock producer Tom Werman has once again fired back at Dee Snider over the Twisted Sister singer's comments regarding their collaboration on the triple platinum Stay Hungry album. Werman, who is promoting his new book, Turn It Up, My Time Making Hit Records in the Glory Days of Rock Music, that would be a very interesting book to read. If it's tell-all, you know, they got the tell-all stuff going on. Discusses his fractured relationship with Snider in an interview with Barry Robinson of Classic Album Review. Asked what he did to upset Dee, Tom responded as transcribed by Blabbermouth. Well, I existed he was one of the persons of the entire project. Okay, I'm not going to do that. He approved the mix. I existed. He was one of the persons for the entire project. He approved the mix. I had every band approve mixes in order to safeguard, to protect my reputation, and to avoid exactly what happened years later. But with Dee Snider, it was a day later. I mean, he walked out of the studio and started trash talking me in the way that nobody ever has. And I had no idea what was going on. Eventually, I kind of assumed that because he had put so much work into his band for so many years, and they hadn't really done anything significant in America, in the American market, that he did not want to share credit for his big hit record. And this made their lives. This made the band's life. He eviscerated me for suggesting that they do a Saxon song. Ooh. That they cover a song. And he was outraged. We toured with Saxon. We don't want to cover a song. We know that song. What's the song? He was very angry that I had thought more of a Saxon song than I did of We're Not Gonna Take It. And then, what did he do? The next record, they used Dieter Dierks to produce it. And their first single was Leader of the Pack. Dun, 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 dun. I sure do wish I knew what Saxon song they would have done. Boy, old Biff Byford, though, he's got a good voice. He couldn't do that. Leader of the Pack. It's kind of a decent pop song from the early 60s, I guess. It was a cover of an American girl group, the Shangri-Las. And the hypocrisy was pretty outstanding. Tom continued, I don't know at this point. I don't care very much about what he says. He said it all. He said in a book of his, I think that the exact quote is, I think that Tom Werman personally destroyed our album. That's bizarre. And he went on in the book. I quote him as saying in several interviews how great the album was. Ha, 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 ha. I don't get it. Oh boy, we got the Justice Man coming in here during a 2020 appearance on The Justice Show. The internet program hosted by Hatebreed frontman Jamie Josta, Snider said, and Jamie Josta, full disclosure, Jamie Josta was the guy that produced and wrote tunes for Dee Snider's metal records that he put out. Maybe it'll say this down below. Snider said he had begged Werman to put the song We're Not Gonna Take It and I Wanna Rock on the Stay Hungry LP. Tom didn't want those two tracks on the record, Dee said. I was on my knees in front of him. Zipper down. I was begging on my knees for a sweet, sweet treat. But because he was sitting and there was no noise going on, what? I was begging on my knees, but because he was sitting and there was noise going on, and he's going, we're not going to take it. It's a little, hums melody mockingly. I go, trust me, it's going to be edgier when we do it. That's the thing. It's catchy, and his answer was, all right, if you really want it, start sucking. No. Okay, that was We're Not Gonna Take It, and I Wanna Rock. He goes, I've done that thing already with Molly Hatchet, hums galloping rhythm. He was mocking my song. He actually presented me with Saxon songs to play on the Stay Hungry album for Saxon's Strong Arm of the Law. Oh, okay. He goes, check this out. I go, yeah, it's Saxon. He goes, it's really good. I said, yeah, it's Saxon. He goes, nobody really knows them. I said, I knew them. I saw Saxon on the Crusader tour. Putting that in your little hat. Nobody really knows them, I said. We've toured with them. It's Saxon. He wanted us to cover Saxon songs. And I love Saxon. But in my community, it was current. It was their album that came out last. And he had this attitude like they were European. They weren't really big. Well, Tom, you might be wrong about that, buddy. I'm sorry. I mean, they weren't quite as popular in the 80s as, say, Twisted Sister or something like that, but they were still pretty popular. I loved that Crusader record. And was it Innocence is No Excuse? After Snider's comments were published on blabbermouth.net, Werman spoke to Full in Bloom about Dee's criticism, accusing the singer of embellishing the facts and denying that he had the power to single-handedly pick the songs that were going to be included on the album. Tom said, "It's kind of a mystery as to why Dee is complaining about it now. Here it is, 36 years since we made that record. There are several things he's ignoring or avoiding or omitting. One is that no producer, maybe Quincy Jones, could have that kind of influence, that kind of power. When an independent producer is hired by a label or band, he is not given the authority to decide which songs are recorded," he continued. "It's a cooperative venture. Now, there's probably a very good chance that when they played me the demos of We're Not Gonna Take It, I said, well, it sounds a little bit like a nursery rhyme. Definitely catchy, but I probably needed a little bit of convincing. Getting down on his knees and begging, question mark? No. He didn't get on his knees and beg for it. Somebody gave it to him. It's the dramatization and the embroidering and embellishment of the actual facts. That's really sleazy. If you don't mind me saying, it's very Trumpian. That's the way he operates. Dee Snider was there for the mixes. Dee Snider approved every single mix. So really, if he doesn't like the album, it's just as much his fault as it might be. Well, it says fine here, guys, but I'm thinking mine is the word. Dee Snider approves every single mix. So really, if he doesn't like the album, it's just as much his fault as it is fine. So he blames somebody else, ... Who else blames somebody else for everything that's happening? Huh? Dee seems like a Trump disciple. He does everything that Donald Trump does. Does that disciples. Despicable. Well, not everything, but there you go. What? This is getting rid. This is traveled in a whole different direction now. It's like you go from Dee Snider and Stay Hungry to Donald Trump. What? There's no question that my approach to recording music was more pop. But that's what worked, Werman explained. That's what got people on the radio. That's why Cheap Trick's Surrender was a hit. I hope they name off some of these artists that he's worked with. That's why Ted Nugent's Cat Scratch Fever was a hit. That's why I made hit singles. That was the only way to sell millions of albums, which would have been confined or restricted to FM play only. He's got one of the most licensed songs in the history of recorded music, probably, and he's bitching and bitching and bitching. It is mysterious to me. I mean, he does make a good point. How many commercials have you heard, We're Not Gonna Take It, or We're Not Gonna Take It in? At least that song. I can name off a Stanley Steamer commercial right now. Tom also addressed Dee's claim that Werman suggested having Twisted Sister cover a Saxon song on the LP. I committed the terrible crime of saying, hey, I like this song. Maybe you could do it. Tom said, Dee said, whoa, it's Saxon. That's right, it's Saxon. I really like this, and I think it was Strong Arm of the Law, or something like that. Saxon was a good band, he said. We've toured with them, we know them, but the way he put it, it was like, what in God's name is a producer doing suggesting to me, Dee Snider, who writes songs, that I should go do a song that somebody else wrote? I mean, he's got that kind of bravado, Dee Snider does. I could totally see that whole scenario coming down. We do it all the time. I've done covers with everybody. Motley Crue did Smokin' in the Boys' Room. Poison did Your Mama Don't Dance and Your Daddy Don't Rock and Roll. That was Loggins and Messina. A top 10 single. So I said it. I recommended it. I did, okay? And he goes nuts. He wanted me to do a Saxon song, for God's sakes. That's right, Dee, I wanted you to do that? And he said, no. Did I force you to do it when you were down there on your knees? No, because I can't. If I had the power to keep one of Dee's songs off the album, yes, then I would have had the same power, to force him to put another song on the album. Obviously, I don't have that power as a producer, and I never did, nor do many other producers. The producer is a hired gun. You fire him if you don't like him. In their case, Dee was pissed because he was forced to work with me by Doug Morris, who was a fairly successful record guy, songwriter, number 2 or 3 guy in the record music history behind Clive Davis and Ahmet Ertegun. Who the hell's that? Should I know that name? And he called me up and said, Tom, you are the only producer I can think of who I think can make a hit with this band. And bear in mind, Twisted Sister was, they had sent their demos to everybody. And I think it was them touring in Europe with Lemmy. Lemmy was a huge supporter of Twisted Sister back in the day. And I think that's what, they got so popular in Europe that the record label started going, holy shit, okay, let's do something. And I really wanted this band to break 1 million in the United States. So, of course, I said yes. And of course, I knew that my job was to make them a commercial success. There's a picture, guys. If you're there's Tom Werman in his 70s jeans and shirt and hairy chest and necklace that's all caught up in it. I never understand the hairy chest necklace, guys. That would just tear the tar right out of your hair, the chest hair, wouldn't it? So there you have that. We're going to go into Corey Taylor here because he had Slipknot just parted ways with Jay Weinberg, that fantastic drummer and son to Max Weinberg, who was the Bruce Springsteen's drummer. And now this ominous message in an interview of some sort with Corey Taylor, where he says, I sincerely hope that I'm part of Slipknot until I hang up the mask. Now, if we're playing devil's advocate here, this would make me kind of think that maybe he wasn't completely 100% on board. Should I put a hat on? My God, I look like a freaking mess. That he wasn't completely on board with the Jay Weinberg being kicked. Perhaps this information will tell us the information that we need. I'm going to have some of my purple nurple. Oh, yeah. Gotta love that purple nurple. Is that bad? What is a purple nurple? Where have I heard that before? I hope it's not offensive. I'm some kind of rotten slang word in some other country or something. This guy's on his fucking podcast talking about a fucking purple nurple like it's no big deal. In a recent interview with Mary Ann Hobbs, she's very good. I love everything that Mary Ann Hobbs does of the BBC Radio 6 music. Corey Taylor was asked a series of either or questions, including this one. Slipknot or solo? He responded, interesting. I'm going to say solo, only because I'm starting it right now. And I'm really starting to kind of find myself in it. Because it really essentially started as an experiment. I had all these songs that I wanted to share with people, and I really couldn't give them to either band. So it was like, okay, well, let me scratch my brain here. I have good songs, but I don't want to give them to Stone Sour or Slipknot. Okay, well, we're just going to have to create a third option. Slipknot is something that can never be replaced in my heart, can never be replaced in my life, and I sincerely hope that I'm part of it until I hang up the mask. The solo thing, there's so much that I can play with. And I'm afforded the freedom and the luxury to be able to create song-wise. Pardon me. That purple nurple, it gets you right in the goods. Really does. That is exciting to me. Every time I think about it, I get so excited. Every time I'm thinking about my song-wise, my creative song process, I get so freaking excited about it. And maybe that's just because I've spent 25, 27 years now in Slipknot, that I am so excited about this shiny new toy or whatever. But I've explored so much in Slipknot, and it excites me to think about what's next for Slipknot. But when it comes to this, it can be even more personal than I've allowed myself to be with Slipknot. It's true. Because if you have these hidden songs that you can't give to Stone Sour or Slipknot, they're personal to you. And they might have tender situations in them. Like that Jack and Diane song. He's like, dribble off them Daisy Dukes and do what we please. Hey! Is that what he says? John Cougar, before he was John Cougar Mellencamp, before he was John Mellenhead, before he was John Mellons. Is he just going by Mellons now? I think he is. Him and Buckethead are going on tour together. Buckethead and Mellons. Lost my place, guys. And it could be just because of my age as well. I've gotten to the point where I've tried almost everything, and yet here I am, 25 years ostensibly after my, ostensibly after my first real release. And I'm still trying to break new ground musically and doing it in a way that doesn't feel forced. Doing it in a way where the song is still kinda and really try to put my heart into it. What? Still king. Where the song is still king. And really try to put my heart into it. You know what I mean? And I think my solo career is going to be responsible for that. And I think that's going to inspire me to open up even more in Slipknot. Please don't fire me, clown. They couldn't fire Corey Taylor. He's the man. All you got is a bunch of clowns, literally clowns, back there banging on some percussion instruments. If that guy goes, who's going to sing? I'm gonna the gong days. I'm gonna home the gong days. As I get older, I'm less likely to hold things back and more likely to try. It's fun to try. And not just to kind of overpower people with it, but to share it, which is completely different. I know we're having such a good time here with all this, but now it's time for a bit of sadness. Miss Althea, we got some requests coming up for her. We've got an ex-Japan. What's the song? It's escaping my brains right now, but she said, we're doing this next week in honor of Heath. Hiroshi Heath, who passed away at 55. Every time I hear when people are dying around my age, you always go, what do they do? What happened? Was it drugs? Were they on fentanyl? What was it? But I don't believe that to be the case with Heath here, but let's get into it with some reverence the best we can. And no, I'm not going to try and do some Japanese accent. Because I know that's what you guys are thinking. Oh, he's going to break into it. I think that's kind of racist, isn't it? It's okay to do voices of people, but it's not okay to do voices of ethnicities. Ex-Japan bassist Hiroshi Heath Mori died at the end of October at the age of 55. He had been battling cancer for several months. Rest in peace, dear sweet sir. Handsome fella, too. Look at that. When they're not putting up, 4 cans of Aquanet in the hair and stuff, I mean, that's a stylish do. Very intriguing eyes. Those eyes say, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days and thoughts that would never end. According to Yahoo Japan, Yahoo! Heath had struggled with his health since the beginning of the year. After seeing a doctor, he was diagnosed with cancer. By that time, the disease had already progressed so far that Heath did not have the chance to share the news of his battle against cancer with any of his bandmates. Upon hearing news of Heath's passing, ex-Japan drummer, the mighty, pianist and leader Yoshiki canceled his scheduled November 1st appearance at the 37th Award of Honor Gala in San Francisco due to what was described as, at the time, as an unexpected loss in the family. Ex-Japan was one of the most successful rock groups in Japanese history, released its first new single in 8 years, Angel, in July. Why aren't we doing that on the first listens? Is it on Spotify? Ex-Japan has achieved legendary status among rock fans worldwide, making a buzz at Coachella, headlining major venues such as Wembley Arena and Madison Square Gardens, and selling out Japan's 55,000-seat Tokyo Dome a record 18 times. That's something. Tokyo Dome 18 times? Prior to the arrival of Angel, the last single from Ex-Japan was released 2015's Born to Be Free, and the critically acclaimed documentary film about the band, We Are X. I've seen that. Miss Althea's seen that. It's wonderful if you go watch that. It is a fantastic documentary. Was released in 2018 in 30 countries, winning awards at the South by Southwest and the Sundance Robert Redford Sundance Film Festival. Recently, Ex-Japan became the center of controversy when Elon Musk announced he was rebranding Japanese Twitter as X-Japan. What? Is that serious? I know it's X now or whatever, but was he going to call it X-Japan? Causing fans across the globe to respond in support of the band's trademark and supporting them as the country's only true X-Japan. X-Japan has sold more than 30 million albums, singles, and videos combined and played to millions of fans around the world. In 1997, at the height of their success, the band broke up. In early 2007, Yoshiki and vocalist Toshi reunited, and later that year, X-Japan officially reformed. The band launched its reunion in 2008 with 3 nights at the Tokyo Dome. In 2010, X-Japan performed for the first time at Lollapalooza in Chicago, the Windy City. Immediately following the festival, X-Japan played the biggest concert in its history, selling out 2 consecutive shows at Japan's Nissan Stadium, filling 140,000 seats. The band then launched their first North American tour, selling out across the U.S. and Canada. They didn't play anywhere that I was. Rest in peace, sir. I wish I knew you. But I've heard your bass licks, and I've seen you play. Haven't I? Guys, we need to do a referendum on Blackie Lawless. Should we keep doing Blackie when he comes up in the news, or should we take a break from Blackie? Because I feel like, and look at that face there. He's going, Shane, don't give up on me. Don't give up on me. Let's get into it. Blackie Lawless denies using backing tapes for his lead vocals. We've been over the backing tapes thing. I just wanted to hear his statement. As a singer, I take a lot of pride in what I do. In a new interview with Canada's The Metal Voice, Wasp frontman, we are sexual perverts, right? And then it was, we are white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. That's the Wasp thing from like back in the olden timey days. But what was the thing? Wasp. I remember live in the Raw, he said, we are the PMRC. They say that we are sexual perverts. It's like, yeah, Blackie, you are. Have you listened to Inside the Electric Circus? Every song on that should have a rated R. In an interview with Canada's Metal Voice, Wasp frontman Blackie Lawless was once again asked about complaints from some of the band's fans about the use of backing tracks during the group's live performances. He responded as Transcod. The conclusion that I came to was this. Up until about 5 years ago, we did everything. It was literally a 4-piece band. What you heard is what you got. And I came to the conclusion that we did the anniversary tour for the Crimson Idol when we then brought in all the orchestrations, and I stood in the middle of the room and I listened to that in rehearsal for the first time. It was like an out-of-body experience. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I remember thinking, I've never heard this sound like this other than the record. And I thought, this is what I want to do from now on. I want it to sound exactly like the record. When you listen to a record like Live at Leeds from The Who, that's a rock band doing a 3-piece musical version of Tommy or some other earlier songs. It's great for what it is, but it doesn't sound like Tommy. And that's what I wanted to hear when I went to Live at Leeds, is I wanted to hear Tommy sound just like Tommy. What they do now with all these pieces that they take out, those performances sound like the record. And so you have to make a decision as an artist. What do you want the performance to sound like? Now, as a singer, I take a lot of pride in what I do. When you've been given a gift like I've been given, most singers I know want to show that thing off, shake it around a little bit. And I'm no different, so yeah, that's me singing out there. But as far as any other orchestra tracks or backing vocal tracks, I'm sorry. There's just not enough of us on stage to make it sound like the record. It's impossible. It is impossible. So, again, the artist, the individual artist, has to make the decision of what to do. They want to sound like they want to go, like they go out. And from that first time, like I said, I stood in the middle of the room. By God, I was there, right there in the middle of the room. Surround sound speakers. And I listened to the orchestration. It blew me away. It did. And I thought, this is what I want to do from here on out. Now, I know why The Who do it, or other bands like that. They want them to sound like the record. Blackie previously addressed Wasp's alleged reliance on backing tracks during a May 2023 appearance on The Trunk Nation with Eddie Junk in the Trunk. At the time, he said, about 10, 12 years ago, we did the Crimson Isle. He's rehashing it. Look, guys, Live at Leeds, The Who. Listen, I understand both sides of the argument on it. For me personally, when I'm there, when I'm singing my little Dershoff. But what's wrong with having enhancement to make something sound exactly like the record? Because you're not going to get a band like Queen or, well, I don't know, Queen's out there doing it. With that Adam Lambert. Or any other bands that does big productions like that. 4 guys cannot go out there and reproduce that record. It's impossible. It is an impossibility. It just won't happen. So, do you want it to sound like the record, or do you want it to just be general live performance? And that's a question of taste. Well, Eddie Trunk will tell you, I want to hear the live performance. That's what you want to hear. I mean, I can't believe that we're arguing this. When you buy a rock and roll record, sure, you want a little bit of embellishment, but you're there to see that band perform that record live. How did Kiss get famous? They're live records. Now they have to go backwards and use laptops and shit. But people wanted to have that experience because that's what a live record is. Even though I would say that maybe, as far as I'm concerned, 15% of Live in the Raw is actually live. But that's an argument that you can get in the comments about. So Blackie, we love you. That's a great leather strap watch that you've got on. And don't you just want to, kind of do this with your fingers on that red velvet shirt he's wearing? I mean, my heavens. Anytime I see a shirt like that, I just want to rub my fingers on it. Just go, what you doing there, Blackie? Let's get into this. This is a lot of fun than your comments. Look at this Terminator son of a gun. Bruce Dickinson. He's going to be in a horror movie. What is this guy on? Is he getting some of that Joe Rogan capsules that Joe Rogan sells on his website? Sells on his podcast? And he says, Joe, I have to tell you, I've been on your health pills for well over a year now, and me dick has grown 1 inch, and me muscles are back. Iron Maiden Bruce Dickinson stars in an ABBA tribute band horror movie. He's going to be in an ABBA tribute band. This is fun, guys. This is fun. According to Deadline, Iron Maiden singer Bruce Dickinson will star in a new horror movie called Bjorn of the Dead. The film was written by Bruce's son. Okay. Austin Dickinson. Oh, he's my little Austin Dickinson, my son, my silly little son. I know what we're going to name our son, dear. We're going to name him after me favourite city once where Iron Maiden sold out 2 nights in Austin, Texas. But he'll be Austin Dickinson. Film was written by Bruce's son, Austin Dickinson, and is based on an original story by Andrew Prendergast, who is producing the movie along with Austin Dickinson. Daddy, I just need about $500,000. Oh, that's easy for me, son, because I'm in Iron Maiden. And we non-stop tour from the beginning of the end of the every single day to the year. Directed by Elsa Kephart, Slacks. Oh, I've seen that movie, but I haven't watched it. Is it good? Get in the comments. The film centers around an ABBA tribute band who find themselves, along with other tribute acts, trapped in a nightclub at the start of the apocalypse. Reports the site, Bjorn and his band must work together to save themselves, humanity, and the future of music. My God, have you ever been to one of them shows? I have a buddy that's in an Iron... He's actually Ozzy Osbourne in a Black Sabbath cover band. He hasn't done it in a while now. But good God, when you go to those gigs where it's like there's a Black Sabbath tribute band and a Motley Crue tribute band and you're just like, oh, someone just turn on the jukebox, please. Or I could be wrong. You could say, dude, that's the best time of my life. My sister and my brother's in cover bands, and it's the greatest nights I ever have. Deadline also notes, in addition to Bruce Dickinson, the film will have various cameos from the world of rock and heavy metal. It is described as a blood-drenched gore fest. You know it's going to be comedy. It's not going to go off the rails and be some dark, twisted A24 movie where, it's Bruce Dickinson. He's going to be silly and he's going to be the singer. Here's the full official plot synopsis according to Deadline. This is kind of like movies that are bad. Mike Buchanan over there. I'm giving you guys a little tasty movie nug before we get to that. Bjorn, lead singer in Abattoir, and his bandmates, Benny, Annie Frid, and Agnetha, spend their weekends covering ABBA classics at a variety of increasingly depressing venues. Yes. From old folks' homes to empty pub back rooms, it's a grind, and the band is really ready to call it a day. I'm not going to read any. I'm going to say that the reason why all the cover bands are there is because it's some kind of a competition where they win money. Let's see. It's a grind, and the band is ready to call it a day when Benny, the band's oldest and most needy member, hears of a Battle of the Bands competition for tribute bands at the 90 Dimey. 90 Dimey? As the band arrives to load in their gear, things begin to go awry rather quickly. A disturbance in the main room of the venue rapidly gets out of control, forcing Bjorn and his band to take cover backstage. Some of the other bands are injured from the fracas. Is that right? Fracas outside. Fracas outside. Injuries which soon present a problem when the wounded begin to metamorphose into bloodthirsty undead. Raven Banner is handling worldwide sales on this film. Back in 2008, Bruce co-wrote a low-budget horror movie called Chemical Wedding, inspired by the singer's love of classic Hammer horror films and their ilk, as well as his fascination with occultist Aleister Crowley. Released in the U.S. under the name Crowley, oh, I didn't know this, the film was critically panned. With Den of Geeks writing, it just feels like it was shot from an unpolished first draft, while The Guardian said it was unintentionally funny and indifferently acted, but it's never boring. I gotta watch it now. It's time for your comments. And hey, wouldn't you look at that? Mike Buchanan right there before your eyes. And he's got a movie. So I've given you a pre-movie before he gives you his movies. Let's have a taste of the Purple Nurple. Guys, doing this podcast takes a lot out of me. Okay, I got to take breaks from now and then. I mean, I can talk a lot, believe you me. But sometimes you got to have a little taste of Purple Nurple. I also got a sparkling water over here, too. Just in case I run out of my Purple Nurple, bang, bang, bong, bing, bong. All right, one more little sip. Mike Buchanan here. Well, we are now off Spooktober and back to the classics. This week's movies that are bad, but we love them anyways. The Magnetic Monster, 1953. A cult favorite of the 50s schlock sci-fi era that takes on nuclear radiation in a realistic way as a magnetic substance threatens to destroy Earth. This is the first in a trilogy series, followed by Riders to the Stars, 1954, and GOG, G-O-G, 1954. I highly recommend watching all three movies. What kind of time do you think I have? I'm just kidding. If you're a lover of bad B movies from the 50s in a small town, yeah, there's a theme. All the clocks stopped at precisely the same time. A magnetic anomaly is discovered and is causing issue. The Office of OSI, Office of Scientific, Office of Scientific Investigation is sent to investigate. Well, that they'd have to. What they discover will destroy the world. So there you have that. Mike Buchanan here. Don't get me started on Blackie and Wasp. They canceled the show I was to go see them at. It would have been the first time I would have seen them live. Yes, I know that Blackie had a bad back, but still disappointed. Mike Buchanan on Lizzie Hale. Lizzie has one of the greatest voices in music. Someday I will get to see them live. Oh, and fantastic on the not drinking. I myself still drink like a fish. No, not really. I just noticed it's just like I have more energy. I feel like I sleep better. I feel it's there's definitely an anxiety element to alcohol. I cannot give it up completely because I just love it. But it's funny because I think about that beer. I'm like, God, I can't wait to drink a beer. And then I get to the store and I go, no, you don't need one now. You can get one next week. I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it was. And it is very hard for some people. But if you've got high anxiety, if you're having panic attacks, if you got high blood pressure, if you're sleeping like shit, if you're, all these things, I would suggest at least taking that 30-day break from drinking. You don't need Joe Rogan to tell you about it. Let me tell you, we're doing no drinky this weeky. Whatever he calls it. Still Mike Buchanan here. I went to the first Ozfest. It was a disaster. Not run well at all. I've seen several of Jake's paranormal shows. Jake's paranormal show. Jake. Not impressed. You mean Jack? Not impressed. But however, I did love Ozzy and Jack's World Tour. Yes, okay. You didn't like Portal to Hell? I mean, he's just with that. I'm assuming it's his soon-to-be wife or something in there. I think that would be so fun, man. I would love to do that paranormal hunting because just the fun you could have in the dark with the infrared cameras, whether you see a ghost or not. It would just be fun. Mike Buchanan here. Well, not that it's been a week or so since Mick has released his first single and you have done the first listen. I'm going with a first. I wasn't impressed, but the song has grown on me. Okay. Did I read that right? Because we're this Sunday, tomorrow, we are doing the first one up, 9 a.m. is Mick Mars. I'm going with, at first, I wasn't impressed, but the song has grown on me. We see that the entire album, we'll see what the entire album sounds like. Guys, I'm blaming it on the type. The size of the type. That's what I'm blaming it on. Because you can see how I can beautifully read those other stories. And then when I get to the comments, I can't do it. I now know, this is still Mike Buchanan, I now know what little Shaney wants for Christmas. A Cannibal Corpse coloring book. Well, maybe Santa, maybe he'll put it in my stocking. The Breakfast Club, when they's talking about, this is what you get for Christmas, a carton of smokes. He wasn't far off the mark. I mean, I wasn't burned by a cigarette or something or cigar in the garage for spilling paint. But, when I was a smoker, what do you get someone who really has everything that they want? Heavy metal and some spending cash in the pocket. Get him a carton of cigarettes. Easter basket, green grass, candy, carton of cigarettes. God love you, Mom. God bless you. And now your Jive Talkin jokes of the week. I was asked recently what married life is like. My answer, 90% of marriage is just yelling. What? From two different rooms. I'm going to read that again. My answer, 90% of marriages is just yelling, what? From two different rooms. Why do Valley girls, oh my God, gag me with a spoon? Why don't you? Why do Valley girls hang out in odd numbered groups? Because they can't even. That's pretty good. Why did Captain Kirk's wife have a doo-doo on her head? Because William Shatner. I've been watching his Unexplained. I love him. His delivery. Everything he does. You watch that on Netflix, The Unexplained? His delivery. He's even better on a show called Weird or What, and that's on Tubi, on the free channel if you want to check that out. What's a specimen? ? An Italian astronaut. What's a specimen? I don't get it. What's a specimen? Okay. And finally, one of my all-time favorites because it reminds me of my great Uncle Bill who told us this joke and where I get my love of bad jokes. I did a Pantera joke, if you guys want to check that out on my TikTok. I made up a Pantera joke and I told the joke on there, if you go look at that. Okay, so this is from Uncle Bill, great Uncle Bill, who told us this joke and where I get my love of bad jokes. How do you make a tissue dance? You put a little boogie in it. God bless you, great Uncle Bill. There you go. There's your hearts, my friend. Miss Althea coming in. I wonder if she's going to say something about Heath. And boy, will she be surprised. The Dumbstruck Fool says, despite your proclaimed debacle with the opening theme, it has still been put on the Filthy 101 list by the PMRC. Blackie Lawless, Miss Althea on Blackie Lawless, so does he flex like a beast now? Not that it matters. It would not be any more attractive than the other thing, ... By your reading, it sounds like I am not the only one who has difficulty believing he has been a gym rat his whole life. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Blackie Lawless saying he's a gym rat. I would love to be in the gym and have him try and show me how to bench press. You know? Miss Althea on Lizzie Hale. I am actually that would be pretty fun. To have fucking Blackie Lawless spotting you. You can do it, buddy. Come on, bring the arms down evenly and straight to the chest. You've got to have that touch the chest. The bar must touch the chest. Jesus, I'm losing my mind. Lizzie Hale. Miss Althea on that. I am actually surprised this woman can even still simply speak with the band's rigorous schedule and the way she belts it out on stage and in the studio. Utmost respect to her. Miss Althea on Sharon Osbourne. The corporate racket demise of Ozfest aside, her son Jack has cornered the market on paranormal shows. Does he have more? To the point where I left wondering if he now half owns the Travel Channel. Just saying. Does he have more than Portal to Hell? I don't know that I could sit through them because they're not really... You know, that's the thing about Ghost Adventure is they go, it's got to be action-packed. You can't just wander around. There was a series, I can't remember if it was sci-fi or whatever, but it was called Finding Bigfoot. And there was like 3 seasons of it. Guess what? They never found Bigfoot, so they canceled the show. It's like they never got any closer. You had the big guy going, beating us. Well, we got to hit the trees with a log. And then you'd hear it's Bigfoot. It never got, you got to have, it's got to be energized. You got to have something. That's why Ghost Adventures are the biggest one of the bunch. And of course, the English version, Most Haunted, is great because the first couple of seasons has that one dude that's just, the spirits jump in his body all the time. And half of them are over there with their hands over their mouth because they're going to laugh because it's so terrible. Miss Althea on Mick Mars, or should I say Igor, going by your impression. All I got really out of that story was the blah, blah, blah. Why has John Corabi seemingly played a part in every rock artist drama since the mid-90s? Yeah. Even if it's just by proxy. It's like he's the heavy metal fall guy. That's something. Get in the comments and tell me every single one of his skirmishes. Miss Althea on Cannibal Corpse coloring book. What's the point when the only shade you can use is red? She's not wrong. There's a lot of red. Maybe a little bit of black. Miss Althea on Mike B and his deliciously bad movie recommendation. Thanksgiving definitely makes one want to rethink the whole history of the equally as bad Thanksgiving horror offering is derelicts. Okay, God, I got to read that again. One may also rethink the whole concept of what? Thanksgiving definitely makes me want to rethink the whole history of the holiday. After one scene in particular, but without getting into any detail, one may also rethink the whole concept of stuffing. Another equally as bad Thanksgiving horror offering is Derelicts. A still bad but has better production value recommendation would be Pilgrim. What? Oh, that's the end of that? A still bad but better production value recommendation would be Pilgrim. I've never heard of any of them. Peter Sellers was Inspector Clouseau. That's the guy. Not Steve Martin. Peter Sellers. I was never a fan of the Pink Panther movies, but I did enjoy the cartoon as a child. I kind of vaguely remember the cartoon not having a lot of the Pink Panther in it. Wasn't it like a bunch of other little characters and then he would just kind of pop in? I could be wrong. An often overlooked but fantastic Peter Sellers movie is 1968's The Party. Honest comedy and just the whole look of it defines an era. Very groovy, darling. Peter Sellers also in Dr. Strangelove? Is that what he's in? I want to say Vertigo or something like that, but I'm... Is it Dr. Strangelove? Oh, get in the comments and tell me. Still miss out the here. I echo Steve Bernard, the offer of a belated rest in peace to the great Steve Riley. I also met him a couple of times while he was in L.A. Guns. First album tour, Cocked and Loaded tour, and he was a nice guy. I mean, he didn't tell me to piss off, you know, when I had that beautiful Wasp shirt on. And God, to this day, I mean, I wouldn't stuff my fat body into it now because I was probably only 15 at the time, but I love that shirt. I really carved that one up good. But he was just hammered. I mean, I don't think he knew where he was even at. But I did get all their autographs and stuff. There you go. There's your heart. Sanguine coming in here. It was pretty good. Well, that gets you a heart. And Sticky Doll, Shane is an animal. He jives like a beast. P.S. Blackie wants to get tips from you about proper man bun techniques. I will say this, guys. I used to be one of them guys that look. I don't look good in a man bun. I'm not one of those sexy hot guys that you see in the magazines with their shirts off and they got the man bun and the beautiful beard. My beard sucks. By the way, it's going away. It's being trimmed down, by the way. But I understand the utility of the man bun now. Women, men, everyone. I understand putting the hair up because you know, I'm at work, I'm getting sweaty, I do this and do that, and it's a lot. So I am a man man. There's your heart. I better give that to you because we do not want anyone to be, you know, upset with me. We're going to get out of here. I want you to seize the day. Live those dreams. Live your dream. You say, you know, I've got this idea and it's so damn dumb. And who am I to ever try anything? Who am I? I'm nobody. I'm not like that guy or this gal or this person. I'm nobody. Why would this? Who cares? Do it for yourself. Do everything for yourself and find an audience for you that says, my heavens to Betsy, that was a damn fine book. That was a wonderful song. That was a great tutorial. That was a beautiful painting. That was, you know. So get out there and seize the day. Live every day to the fullest too. Because you never know when that bus could hit you, right? Come on, baby, give me a good beat here. Let's go. What's that song? Ooh, yeah, okay. Come on, baby. Ooh, I like that, though. Jive talking, yeah, having fun. Having fun, 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 fun. Jive Talkin, it's lots of fun. It's a podcast for you and your mom and your buns. Jive Talkin with your friend Shane. It's gonna drive you insane. If you go insane, don't refrain. Come on, baby, let's play. Jiving time. Jiving, gonna get jiving. Jive. Came back at you there with a double slap.